Let's talk about Kyle Shanahan's latest collapse. You know, in the past, he usually saved his collapses for the fourth quarter, second half, in Atlanta in the Super Bowl against the Patriots. 3 years ago in the Super Bowl against the Chiefs. Last year against the Rams. Fourth quarter collapses. And if you want to use like a chess metaphor, he was sort of collapsing in the end game. You know, he's got his king and a queen and a pawn and a rook. And he's got like 4 more pieces than the other guy and loses. Did that 3 times. In this game, he got like checkmated on the third move. He lost his king on the third move. And, you know, he's going to say he didn't do anything wrong. But that's what he said after he got Trey Lance hurt. I asked Kyle Shanahan after the game. First of all, I think we all were like, well, why is Tyler Kroft blocking Hassan Reddick? That's Kyle's decision. He drew that up. After the game, J.J. Watt tweets, hey, no, let me get that verbatim. J.J. Watt says, maybe stop leaving one of the top pass rushers in the league one-on-one with the tight end. That's what I thought. Obvious, right? So I asked Kyle Shanahan after the game, what happened on that sack? And he looks at me with that look, knowing what I'm getting at. And he said, the defensive end hit the quarterback, left it at that. So I come back and I say, okay, well, in retrospect, do you think that asking Tyler Kroft to block Hassan Reddick was ambitious, a little too ambitious, or do you expect him to execute that block? And he said, it's a difficult block, but that's what you got to do on play action passes, and they did it to us. I hate that answer. Now, I'm not surprised by that answer, but again, it's him saying I didn't do anything wrong. And, you know, he's gotten 4 quarterbacks hurt this year. When Trey Lance got hurt, and I was like, hey, man, why'd you run him between the tackles? He was like, that's a legitimate football play. But then last week, he did an interview about Johnny Manziel and said, you know what, Johnny, you know, he was really set up to fail, overdrafted, didn't have the speed to get to the edge, so I had to run him on, if I ran him at all, like they wanted me to with RG3, I would have to run him on quarterback draws between the tackles. And what he said is, you know, he could make one guy miss, but the next guy's going to kill him. That came out of Kyle's mouth himself, and yet he used Trey Lance that way. So now he has this ridiculous play where he has his backup tight end try to block like the 3rd best edge rusher in the league, 2nd best edge rusher in the league. Doesn't happen, and then afterward takes no responsibility for it. This is my issue with Kyle. Like, people say he's a great coach, and he draws up nice plays. In theory, like, he likes certain play action passes, and he knows they're going to work against certain coverages. So he liked this play action pass. He felt it got Brandon Ayuk open. Good play. The problem is, it's not a good play if the matchup tilts in favor of the opponent. So, yeah, Brandon Ayuk's open, but you have Tyler Kroft on Hassan Reddick. There's a high probability that Reddick's going to win that matchup very quickly, get pressure on Purdy, who's looking left by design. I mean, that's best case scenario, you get a 20-yard throw. Worst case scenario, he gets hit, injures his elbow, has surgery. I mean, all that, it was a medium risk, it was a medium reward, high risk play. And he didn't acknowledge that there was anything out of the ordinary about asking the backup tight end to block the best edge rusher on the team. And then on the next drive, because Kyle likes to double down, remember when he got Trey Lance injured later in that game, he had Jimmy running up the middle between the tackles, just so he could say, look, that's how I call games, right? I'm not doing anything different. He did that. So on the next drive in this game, with Josh Johnson in the game, no other quarterbacks, he does it again. He has George Kittle come across the formation to try to block Hassan Reddick. Can't do it because he's a freaking tight end. And now Josh Johnson gets sacked, which foreshadows Josh Johnson's eventual injury and the Niners having to play about a half with no quarterback. That's what happened in this game. Did it twice. Not just once. Did it twice. Just to say, nothing wrong with that. I'll do it again. I don't know, man. I don't see how you have a lot of confidence in a coach like that. He's very good, but he's been very good for like 5-6 years. We keep waiting for him to take the next step. He hasn't done it. In fact, he might have taken a step back in this game. Before, all week, I picked the Eagles to win. And I was going here, I was on TV, and people were like, well, why? Are you expecting Brock Purdy to collapse? No! I don't have questions about Brock Purdy. I have questions about Kyle. Is he going to collapse again? And the answer was immediately. Immediately. 4th and 3, he couldn't challenge that play. I mean, he sees, first of all, Hurts throws it deep to Devontae Smith. He reacts like he didn't catch it. He's motioning to the offense, hey guys, let's go quick, let's go quick. They speed to the offensive line. They're acting like they know it's not a completed catch. Kyle freezes. Had he challenged it, it would have won. No points for Philly. Niners get the ball. Who knows? Maybe Purdy doesn't get hurt. Instead, he freezes, stands there doing nothing. Eagles score a touchdown a few plays later. Purdy's out. Game. So it's like, look, you could say that Kyle Shanahan had some bad luck or it wasn't all his fault, whatever. In the NFC Championship game against a team that talented, maybe not that great, but that talented, you can't afford those two mistakes right away. We talked about this the last few games. I'm like, you know what? Yeah, they beat Seattle and they beat Dallas, but they messed around in the first half. They didn't have 60 minutes of complete football. If they do that against Philly, they're going to lose quick. And they did. Kyle wasn't locked in. He didn't have his protection schemes figured out in the first half. His lack of readiness in the first quarter cost him the season. And we saw it for the last month. Philly reached that level recently. They've been playing consistently good football. They're not a great team. Consistently good football. They don't beat themselves. So, I don't know. I mean, Kyle's attitude is, it's a one-game tournament. It's not his fault. It's fluky. Hi. And we'll get him next year. Except it's not basketball. It's not like you have a core group of players that are going to be on the court together for 10 years and you know it. It's football. These windows open and close quickly. And frankly, the Niners have had their window open for 4 years. So, I think we all expect that there are ways the Niners can get even better next year. But how many Super Bowl rosters is Kyle going to throw away at the end of the season because he didn't improve? He made the same mistake. All year, he said, this team is special. It's the best team in the league. Yeah, well, you didn't win the Super Bowl. Kyle's going to win the Coach of the Year this year, coaching the best roster in the league, and he didn't win the Super Bowl. What does he need to win the Super Bowl? An even better roster than this? Well, I'll help him with that. He's going to get a better roster than this. He could win next year. I'm going to end this stream on a very positive note. I'm going to be hard at first because they lost and they beat themselves. But this team is not going away. This is the only team standing between the Niners and a Super Bowl, and they're not that great, Philly. So we're going to get positive in a minute, but not yet.